Hello, hello, hello. हम हैं औरतें दिल से देसी, a podcast for brown women by brown women. I'm your host Geet, joined by my lovely co-hosts Sammy and Amna. Today we are bringing you an unscheduled episode ignited by the release of Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito's anti-abortion draft opinion that leaked earlier last week and has America reeling again. The laws of this country affect all of us, but I feel it affects immigrants and the children of immigrants a bit differently because many of us find profound comfort in the freedoms of this country. Coming from countries where political upheaval is a norm and civil liberties are frequently and shamelessly violated, when civil rights are threatened here, it regurgitates past traumas. It is imperative we add our voice to the conversation when our fundamental rights are in question. I'm going to hand over the spotlight to Sammy, who's going to continue this discussion.
So we're now hearing about a possibility of Roe v. Wade flipping in the Supreme Court, where abortion is going to become illegal in America. How does that affect our society here in America? And I think this conversation, it's interesting that it's all around politics and who said what and did what at what time and this many years, like all the news articles that are coming out, right? Like all the news. But at the end of the day, it's going to affect women and the people who have a uterus, who have the ability to get pregnant, and that choice is being taken away from them. And that opportunity is being taken away from them. And we're here to talk about how it affects South Asian women too. And it's definitely a part of our life here in America. The things going on in our politics affects us too. And I would love to know from both of you what's going through your what went through your mind when you heard this in the news? What was sort of your first reaction to the news?
I mean, it's the pursuit of happiness, right? That's the fundamental belief of America. The founding
Right.
fathers wanted us to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Where is the liberty for the women
Right.
to make decisions? I mean, and how are you saying that you're going to criminalize abortion for women without somehow bringing in the responsibility for the man? I don't understand that either. Like the woman can't get pregnant by herself. So why is this not any part of the conversation as to how you're actually going to criminalize it for the men too?
Right.
Or if you're going to force a woman to get pregnant and to have that child, then you're going to force the man to be responsible to take care of that child. Because a lot of the reasons why women get abortions, which is contrary to extremist beliefs, that women are being careless and going out there and having sex and then just choosing to get abortions as if it's
These promiscuous women.
as if it takes the place of condoms, but that's not what's happening. What's happening is that women are ending up pregnant
Without wanting to be pregnant?
without wanting to be pregnant.
Right.
Right. I mean, in a sexual situation, in the exchange of pregnancy, I feel like the woman is the actual vulnerable one, right? She's the one who can get pregnant. Meanwhile,
The man can just do it and walk away. Right.
Yep.
She's going to be dealing with that pregnancy for the next 9 months, right? And did she really want it? No one
and
asked her, but society always expects women to have children, right? So it's like,
And the question that they keep saying that the life of the fetus is important. How does the life of something that's not born trump the life of something that's living and breathing in front of you?
right,
And the choices. And why does government control it?
right,
That's what my experience was. In 1987, I was 25 years old. I went to an all women medical school, tertiary care, women's health center, and saw so much of botched abortions. Married women didn't want to have a 10th child and come in with septic abortion. That was a thing for us. We dealt with it every day during our gynae duty. Labor room duty is like septic abortions, women coming with their uterus hanging out, young women dying because they didn't want a 10th child.
And the background to that is that it's because it's illegal in Pakistan, right?
Yes, because it's Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So fast forward to you coming to America, 25-year-old, finished med school, came to America, and I used to go to this place to study. And there was a guy, and he used to read books and we had intellectual discussions. And then out of nowhere, he asked me a question. It's like, what do you think about abortion? And I had no idea that this was a thing in America. I came to United States of America, country of empowered women. And then I find out that, wait a minute, abortion is an issue here. And fast forward that to today, I met this Desi woman who has just immigrated to America, and I met her and I said, we're going to do a podcast on Roe v. Wade. And I had to explain to her what Roe v. Wade was. And she was like, what do you mean? There is Sharia law in America now. So that's the surprise that we get when we come to this country, that, oh my God, you can expect that in Islamic Republic of Pakistan, but to see that in United States of America is mind-boggling to us.
Right, absolutely. I was just gonna say that, okay, so one thing, we talk about like the laws and the policies here in America. How much of those laws and policies involved women when they were making them? Not that many, right?
None.
Especially even when Roe v. Wade was passed, right? Sure, representation is increasing in our legislation, like just the body of people that are making the laws and out there, like whether it's Democrat, Republican, whatever the party is, there's at least an increase in women, and we need more women's voices to help guide those policies. I think we often forget that America still has a large majority of conservative Christians who are driving, who are in the driving seat right now. And we saw that with Trump too, where a lot of judges, a lot of those folks making decisions were implemented by him. And so now we're seeing those after effects coming out now. I mean, all through Trump's time, they were talking about flipping Roe v. Wade, right?
Yeah,
We heard that.
all throughout the
We
time.
heard
Yeah.
that all throughout his presidency. So this coming now wasn't a surprise, but it was still, my first reaction was, what in the actual fuck? Like, why are we here in 2022? We just went through a damn pandemic, and now you are gonna go after our uterus too? Like, literally, women have been losing jobs through this pandemic. Like, women are actually the ones losing out during the pandemic more so than men. And now it's our uterus is on the table too, and it's up for discussion.
Or women
Like, I just
carrying the household. You
boggles your
know,
mind.
women carrying the household, cleaning women, women whose husbands lost jobs, but
Caregivers, right?
they went on and did their job. Home care workers, cleaning personnel, and now, and immigrant women
Right.
who are so scared, and a lot of them live in poverty.
A lot of
And
them.
Right.
now
And
this is what
sometimes I
you're gonna
wonder,
deal
like,
with. Give me a fucking break here.
sometimes I wonder how much knowledge do these people that are making these laws, these conservative judges and stuff, how much do they recognize pregnancy and the effects of pregnancy on a woman's life? You know, how all encompassing it is, how much people don't want to hire pregnant women because they look at it like, oh, she's going to leave come that baby is born.
Yes.
People of higher authority. Like, so if you're a hiring manager, for example, you're looking at a woman almost like she's a liability because at some point she's going to get pregnant and she's going to get on mat leave and she's not going to be around for an X amount of time. And we seem to have come beyond that because of a lot of the, of course, laws like this that protect women's choice. Those women who don't want to, don't. Those women who do are given our maternal leave and paternal leave, family leave, right? Those are laws that
But
protect.
do you know, Geet, that also just came recently in the 90s, the family leave for pregnancy, and it's considered a sickness. Because when I adopted my daughter, I wanted to know if Indiana University would give me a maternal leave. They don't, because adoption is not considered a sickness. So, so I was told that maternal leave is really under the sickness.
Under a medical cause, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, this.
So like adoption is not medical, it's more like, right?
Yeah. So I did not get a
Interesting.
maternal leave. I had to really be very creative, and they helped. But that's the first time in 2002 I found out that pregnancy, maternal leave is really considered an illness, and that's why it's given.
You know,
That's terrible.
That's terrible. The side of this that also I feel like, again, you know, this edges far beyond. I think this goes far beyond. As an American, it's not just Roe v. Wade, because they don't know what the flip side of a world where abortion is illegal looks like.
Right.
It's also like they don't know what a world where pandemics happen don't look like it happened through COVID, where people are just like, well, my body, my choice. How is it my body, my choice for COVID, but not my body, my choice for pregnancy?
Right.
How does that happen?
Exactly.
How does that happen?
A mask is too much.
A mask is too much.
Controlling your uterus? Oh, sure, go right ahead. Go right up my fallopian tubes, you know?
Ridiculous. Like, what is this
I
garbage?
don't get this.
These conservatives, like, sometimes I'm like, how do you not have the, like, you're screaming at the top of your lungs that you think wearing a mask is a violation of your body and being, but you don't think it's a violation for you to force somebody to have a pregnancy. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Right. And it's interesting how this conversation is really about the morality that gets attached to that, right? The morality of like, nope, if this woman is pregnant, she has to have that child because it would be immoral for her to do anything else. And
I think
they equate abortion to murder. And it's like,
so I will quote Kamala Harris when she questioned Brett Kavanaugh and said,
Oh, beautiful moment.
Name a law where men's bodies are controlled. Are there any?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Could you be more direct? Oh.
So the hard part for immigrants, see, you, Sammy, and you, Geet, probably cannot understand the turmoil that I am going through and women like me are going through. In Pakistan, I have to deal with or only poor women dying because rich women have it all, right? But in United States of America,
right.
This is my dilemma.
No, I
don't know if anybody can understand it.
No, I think all of us can understand it because similar to you, I guess, when I was in Pakistan, I did see women that were in similar situations. I'll share a story of a friend whose sister ended up pregnant without the parents knowing, obviously out of wedlock. She fell in love and she ended up pregnant, and her parents found out. She tried to hide it by wearing big clothes, but eventually, it comes through. Parents found out, shipped her back to India. She went through a back alley botched abortion and died. Young girl,
Wow.
Really sad.
less than 21 years old, dead. That similar story that we were sharing, that's all circulating all over the social media right now. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name. Sunita from Ireland.
Yeah.
And that whole story and how that panned out for that poor woman. Wait, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to just read it. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. Sunita Halapanavar, 17 weeks pregnant, was examined at University Hospital Galway after complaining of back pain, but was ultimately discharged without a diagnosis. She returned to the hospital later that day, this time complaining of lower pressure, a sensation she described as feeling something coming down. And a subsequent examination found that the gestational sac, so for lay people, that's basically the entire sac that the child sits in, was protruding from her body. She was admitted to the hospital as it was determined that miscarriage was unavoidable. So basically, she was having a spontaneous miscarriage. And several hours later, just after midnight on October 22nd, her water broke but did not expel the fetus. The following day, on 23, water breaking means that the amniotic fluid comes through, the child is still inside with the sac. Okay? Now, if it's not getting nutrition, it's basically dying or dead. And if it's dying inside your body, what that means is necrosis. And what necrosis results in is sepsis. Okay? She was admitted to okay. Her water broke but did not expel the fetus. The following day, on October 23rd, Halapanavar discussed abortion with her consulting physician, but her request was promptly refused as Irish law at that time forbade abortion if a fetal heartbeat was present. Fetal heartbeat was present, okay? Nothing about how much that heartbeat is, if the pregnancy is viable, if the fetus is gonna actually make it alive. Nothing is said there. Afterwards, Halapanavar developed sepsis, and despite doctors' efforts to treat her, had cardiac arrest at 1:09 a.m. on the 28th of October. The woman went through 5 to 6 days of agony and then died. She was 31 when she died, and she was a dentist. Of course, her case prompted mass protests across the country and caused changes to the law, and somehow we're regressing because we want this to happen in America, because that's the reality. Abortions don't stop happening because Roe v. Wade is overturned. Abortions still happen. Women die. That's what happens.
And also just hearing the fact that it's amazing to me that the US, being a first world high income country, has one of the highest maternal mortality rates, especially among Black women. And that's known, and abortion is actually one way that they can reduce that. But of course, now we're going to leave it up to the states to decide. And now each state is on its own. But what are we supposed to do as South Asian women? How do we fight for this for ourselves? And are we ready to fight for this for ourselves? Right?
We have to struggle and fight. It's very important. Women who have had abortion, it stays with them. And being a mom to a 20-year-old, I just feel like this is so wrong. In United States of America, where we're the superpower, we're the first world country, we're the richest country, why are there laws legislating women's bodies? It's about a woman and her health, and that is plain wrong. And the way we can fight it is being vocal. Those of us who are US citizens, we need to be sending emails to our congresspersons, even if they are not Democratic, even if they are Republican. We need to be sending emails to our senators, our local politicians, because they look at this.
Yeah. They want to hear from their constituents, and
Yes.
we're those people. And
We
that's the
need to
only way
write
we can do
letters,
this.
we need to write emails, we need to make phone calls
Right.
and
We
say
really
this is
do.
wrong.
If even every single one of us just made one call to one of our senators and let them know how we feel about this issue, because I think right now it's up to the states to decide, right? If this does go through, each state is on its own. And I think almost half the country doesn't, there's no abortion laws, right?
Yeah,
Or
I think they
abortion
said
is
something like
actually
28
illegal.
states.
And get on board, become involved in your politics, vote,
Yeah, if you're
see
a
who your
citizen, please
governor
vote.
is,
Right.
see who your congressperson is, see who your local politician is. This is the most important thing for immigrants to do, to get involved in local politics, because our vote counts.
Of course, our vote counts. That's
Right.
a lot of immigrants come here with the experience of being back in their countries, questioning whether their vote counts or not.
Right.
And so they don't understand here that the vote does count. Women fought to have their votes heard. Why are we not using them?
Yes.
No, for our votes to get counted, then why are we not out there using them? That's the only collective voice that we really have in the government. Aside from
And
protesting
this is
and all of that.
terrible. This abortion legality, legislative morality is the worst thing that can happen to a country. And we really need to fight it. I mean, I question my fate. I say, अगर मुझको immigrant ही बनना था, why did I come to America? Why didn't I go to Canada? Why didn't I go to Finland or somewhere else? I came to this country that's sounding more and more like Pakistan. This is wrong.
I used to make fun when I was when I first came back from Pakistan, and I always used to make fun in my comments, in my Facebook comments and stuff, when I would put up posts and then something was happening somewhere far away at that time, where the conservatives were acting a certain way and having a hissy fit about something or the other, and I would put it up like, oh, Talibanization of America, trying to bring back such archaic thinking into a country that's so forward in so many ways and is an example across the world. Has been an example, forcefully sometimes becomes an example. Sometimes it just is an example. But like the country is an example for the world, and here we are trying to shoot ourselves back into dark ages. Like, what are we trying to do? We're kind of trying to regress instead of progress. It's like
The gender bias is so deep. It's so deep in our society. And it comes in, it's part of politics. It's absolutely part of politics. You look at who made the policies, you look at who's in the room when they're making those decisions, but there's not that many women. And we need more women in politics to be fighting for us too. And for men.
But it's done purposely, right?
Oh no, of course not. It's not. Absolutely. And मैं ये नहीं कह रही कि every man is at fault. No, it is just the way that society has been created over time.
No, there's a flaw also.
Yeah.
And we also have to do something about it.
Acha, to socho,
When
what would
Obama
happen?
Wait, 1 second. When Obama was president, okay? Obama was right before Trump, right?
Yeah.
So when Obama was president, we had women on the Supreme Court. We had quite a few. We had Sotomayor. I'm sorry, I'm saying her name wrong. We had RBG, right?
Yeah.
We had women. We had female representation. Now suddenly we have a predominantly male Supreme Court, all conservative.
Yeah. But this is also dating back to Obama's time too, right? Because he did put an amendment in one of the laws to leave it up to the states to decide, and that the marketplaces for insurance, they could deny abortion as coverage. So there was a loophole that was still placed in it even during Obama's time.
Probably to get that passed.
Exactly. So it really did get kickstarted at that point when, and a lot right now, anti-abortion activists are having parties because this is exactly what they were aiming for years now. Even up until Reagan's time, when they actually were funding Reagan's party to the sort of anti-abortion side of it. So
And why are they
it's been part
called
of US
pro-life?
for years. Because
Why are they called pro-life?
right, because they're seeing that unborn child as life. And
But
that's
they're not
what,
pro-life. They're
right.
anti-choice, anti-women, anti-children.
They're
Fine.
not pro-life. They're anti-children. They're trying to defund education programs. They're trying to defund daycare programs. They're trying to defund the programs that WIC.
No, they also,
Right.
I know from having had IVFs that majority insurance companies do not fund IVF because of this fucking pro-life lobby. Because they say zygotes get wasted, so they don't want to fund IVF. There is also a major problem with healthcare where there, premature babies that are born, their healthcare is in trouble because of these lobbies. So on one hand, you say you're pro-life, but you don't want to fund healthcare for premature children. You don't want to fund healthcare for women.
Stem cell
mean-
research.
Yes.
Pro-lifers are against stem cell research because they think that that's life. So bizarre, so bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Right.
And it affects immigrant women and brown women and black women more so than anyone else.
I also
And
wish
that's why it's
I also wish
important
that
to talk about it.
healthcare workers and doctors would actually rally more together and become a larger voice and actually have the conversation about where does life start. I wish that doctors would be
Yeah.
discussing
Like
that.
increasing communication.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that they need to be more active and more vocal when it comes to these kind of loaded political conversations that really are medically dependent. Like, where is life defined is not decided in the Bible. It's decided in medicine. And it's very clear when you study embryology and anatomy and physiology where life starts. And so why is that even up for discussion when it's so clear? It's crystal clear.
Yeah.
And why are we giving the podium to pro-lifers to have the conversation, to take control of it?
So the answer is we need to organize. We need to get our voice known. We need to talk and talk and talk and talk. We need to organize. We need to have protests. We need to be communicating with our political people.
I also think we need to get educated. That's the other
Yes.
part too. We
Yes.
also need to get educated to understand what these laws are and what they mean to us personally.
Especially for us immigrants moving here from, Pakistan, India, wherever that country is, and coming to the US, there's a lot of different laws for abortion around the world, right? Not every country allows it, and not every country, you know what I mean? Like, there's different degrees of what counts as an abortion or not and when. But I do think that a lot of people moving to the US from like India, Pakistan, I'll talk to that because obviously we can sort of relate to it too. They're also in that mindset that they're probably, there's a lot of folks that are against it as well, that they're sort of supporting this, that, yeah, there's, women should not be allowed to have abortions.
And as women, we need to come together and we need to have a voice, and say something, even if that means starting petitions to submit, if that means calling your congresspeople, get on the phone. If that means getting involved with your local politics, like Amna was saying, do it.
Right.
But get your voice heard, and whichever way you feel, add to the conversation, add to the dialogue. At the end of the day, we'll come out on the other side. That's the important message.
Yes.
Don't just sit back and keep considering yourself the other. Don't sit back and say, well, this doesn't concern me. Oh, and just to talk about this, I always feel like brown women, even if they do comment on abortion and their belief, many of them do, what I read, many do believe in pro-choice, but they always find it necessary to say that but I'm personally pro-life. But I do believe in the other woman's choice. This is a political argument. Let's just talk about the politics of the thing. Do you or do you not believe that a woman has a right to decide without judging her, without putting yourself in that situation? Just think about it and say, all women, we're talking about 100% of the women in the country.
When it comes to politics and when it comes to laws, legislating women's bodies, then there is only one choice. And the choice is to go for woman's body and against the laws that legislated. It has nothing to do with my personal beliefs. It has to do with the collective.
Yeah.
And the collective is, it is wrong to legislate a woman's body.
And that brings episode 3 to an end. Act now. Add to the collective voice. It's important. We will be adding a blog post for this episode on our website with helpful information. You can get up to speed on the issue. You can also find information on illegal abortions around the world linked to the WHO website. You can find Amnesty International facts on abortion, and you can find an overview of abortion laws around the United States. You'll also find a link to the Senate.gov website, and you can find a way to contact your senators on that website directly. I hope you found this episode useful and informational. Our website address is www.auraten.com, AURATEN, and follow us on Instagram or Facebook at 3Auraten. Thanks for tuning in. This is Geet signing off.